Are there many names bigger in Japanese music than Ado? Well, we will be talking about the beloved Japanese singer today, but we're going to be doing I think the fourth part in our series of going back and checking
Mm.
out where it all started for a big name artist. And of course, it hasn't been that long since Ado debuted, but with her constantly being in the limelight, I think sometimes we do miss talking about that first album in some detail. Yes, it's Kyōgen. We're going to be reviewing it in detail today, saying what we think of the 2022 debut by the beloved Japanese singer Ado. Well, you two have smirky smiles on your
No,
face, so why don't you
we were
get to
letting you do the
talking?
intro. We were letting you do the intro. Remember, you said if we can let you do one intro, I interrupted.
All that smirking, that was a kind of interruption, but okay,
Well,
well, you guys
next
lead the
time
way.
we will join after you do the intro.
Just, you have to sit there with like expressionless, waiting to be loaded up. Run Neon program. Run Benedikt program. Oh my God,
Error.
it's broken. It's broken. It's crashing. All right,
I wanted
guys.
to say for anyone who thinks this is not their first album, I have the proof right here. Not sure if you can see it. It says Ado first album right on top here.
Was this a hotly
Never.
contested subject?
Yeah, no, he's just flexing.
I
This
just
is
found
this
this
is
little
this is
piece of paper in the
yes.
in
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
thing.
So look at my official paperwork because I'm a proper supporter of Ado.
Officially signed. No, and it's not.
All right, well,
Okay, anyway, this
Anyway,
album. Do you want to start or should I give some overview what I think of it?
yeah,
it,
God, you flex so hard now with all your paperwork and the album and stuff. You're gonna have to let's start this off.
The thing is, this is what the same price as just the standard
that's
audio
fine.
CD.
Go
So
on, go on, go on. Try hard, super fan. You can show us in.
I'm
Go
actually
on.
not a super fan. This is like the only album I know, and I know
Oh, okay.
now after checking her page and like her YouTube, there's a lot of stuff released afterwards. But I'm kind of wondering, like, what other albums have you heard? Because when I'm looking at all the playlists of the other
There's,
albums, kind
there's
of
two, I think.
there's a
Yeah,
lot of
I
overlap.
the
Hmm.
A lot of
what
songs on a lot
the
of
One
albums.
Piece album. If you get a chance to listen to that, that is phenomenal. By the way, so trying to she got some banging songs on that.
Well, shall we jump into the album that we're actually here to
Yeah,
talk
yeah, we're
about?
here to talk about that one.
That'd be
Okay.
a
Sorry.
fucking good idea. Jesus Christ.
No, I
So
just
all
thought
we're
it was
doing is
yeah.
highlighting that we don't know anything.
No, I thought it was interesting because if you actually look at the playlist of Kyougen, the songs were also released at very different times, like some 4 years,
Hmm.
some 2 years ago. So, and that's also a bit of the feeling that I got from the album overall, that it feels more like just a combination of like a mix of her songs thrown together. It's not really yeah, I don't know. There's not really a concept behind that album, I would say. It's just a collection
Interesting.
of the songs she did so far, which are all pretty great, I have to say. There's not really a song I would skip, but I would
Oh,
say it's kind of a roller coaster going through this album. In my opinion, it starts out very strong, then it dips a little bit, and then it gets really funky and then really good at the end.
well, I was actually going to say, I actually feel like this album is, yeah, like I said, a selection of songs done throughout the years because obviously she got famous through
Yeah.
YouTube and then obviously signed the label and stuff. But this album feels really compartmentalized. Like you've got the very in your face intro, you've got those few little ballads that come after, then you've got like the crazy third section,
Yeah.
then coming into like sort of like the more soft listening fourth section. And I always feel like there's four sections in this album. But I really like this. Like if anything, this it shows to me her variety. And I like what
Yeah,
I like about this is how
Totally.
they've made it flow a little bit. I know you said it sounds a bit random, but I like the fact that they've tried to keep these songs, like three songs, kind of like roughly sounding the same as they go
There
through
is
the
kind
album.
of that structure to it, yes. But yeah,
Uh,
still, I think you can feel this wasn't, not all of the songs were created for this album. They were just created as a song and then put on the album afterwards. That's,
you could definitely argue that case, but I mean, when every song's this damn good, I mean, does it matter?
yeah, true. I agree.
I
So
I must say, so I'll give a little bit of information on the album itself. I'm from my perspective, I would just say before I give this information that I was quite impressed because I'd never really, I think, sat down and listened to this album cover to cover until we said that we were actually going to do this. I mean, I was very familiar with her music, but I'd never really just sat down and listened to her album like this before. And so, what really struck me, I must say, I think it is on that border where there is a very distinct set of characters to each song. And yeah, I do actually feel the album felt very much like it flowed well. It's like the variation was there, but nothing felt like it jarringly out of place.
No.
Now that being said, I'll give a couple of bits of information, which is probably going to be quite interesting. Of the 14 tracks, I'm just looking through here. Every single one appears to have a different writer and producer. So they are all done by different people. But interestingly enough, the first album, Ashura, came out on October 23rd, 2020, with the last single coming out on October the 28th, 2021. So it's almost exactly a year. And that's 7 singles that came out. So that's not, I mean, we've seen, I mean, even look at the most recent Bandmade album, the singles were stretched over longer than that. It's not an unprecedentedly long gestation period, especially for a debut album, which tend to, debut albums, you don't know how much backing you've got at first and how quickly you can amass the material for an album. So, especially considering that, I don't think this album could have come together much slower.
But I
So,
would say Ado did have quite the following before that album, even, right?
well, according to what it says
So
here, she her fame really came to the top because of the fact that she released UCY in 2020, which apparently that was part of her whole, it
yeah,
was part of her being signed, and it was only a digital release, but because it shot to number one and had such a popular following, that's kind of what created her fame. So I would say that realistically, given that the album was released um, just over a year later, again, I don't feel like that's an unprecedentedly long period between first single and first album. And this is a full-length album. It's not like she like stepped her toes in the water with a mini album. This was a
No, this was
full-length 14 track. This
yeah.
was a proper release, 52
Hmm.
minutes worth of it.
And I love every
Any
second
thoughts
of it.
before I continue,
Yeah, yeah,
Rand?
no,
'Cause
no,
I've
I
got
love
more
every
to
second
say,
of
so I just want to
I
give you a
was
chance.
just looking, trying to find out how many albums were sold because I was wondering that people really then, after listening to Usewa, um, and what was the other one, Odo, I think, like the
Oh,
two
that was
most
a big
popular
one, yeah.
songs.
Yeah.
Did they really buy the album or did they just then, I don't know, watch YouTube videos of
But
other songs? But it's actually
I,
platinum album, 250,000
I
plus
just I
sales.
think that's a very yeah, I mean it's that's great, but I think it's very hard to judge music based on that kind of thing these days. I mean, you look at
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
when it's an artist that big,
No,
them
but it just can give
having
you an
cultural
idea. Are
cachet.
people really interested in the actual artist, or is it just they find a cool song and then they listen to another one, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that yeah, when you get into that area where your fame spills out into being just generally beloved by the public, even the casual listeners. So you could be loved by people who just, as a rule, never buy albums. It's just not a thing they do. They're just someone
Yeah,
who's, and that's when you get into that more household name territory. You're going to be beloved by people who are just not normally music fans. So the idea of actually buying an album just isn't their thing. And so you kind of enter this whole new range of fame. But yeah, I mean, as you say, I
yeah,
mean,
true.
the sales were still really impressive.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, so there's a few tracks that I want to talk about on here, but I just thought I'd how should we do this? We could either go through from start to end, but I think the best way of doing it would maybe to ask if you guys have any tracks that you felt stood out from this that you wanted to mention,
I
maybe
do
sort of
have
draw attention to first of all.
like a favorite track, I would say.
Okay.
Asura-chan. I'm not sure if you know which one that is. It's the first
Yes.
really funky. That's kind of, I don't know. I really love that song. I really love the energy in that song.
So was it
But I
called
would
again?
say there's also not really
Oh,
another song that
Ashura-chan.
sounds like it on the
Sorry,
album.
Ashura-chan.
It's a bit more of that, I don't know, a bit more of a brighter, more uplifting style than Ado usually does, in my opinion. And that's just more my style. Doesn't mean that it's better than the other songs, really, but yeah.
God, the
To me,
cheerful face of
that's good
hardcore
about it.
metaler Benedikt is coming out. So I like this one because it just uplifted my soul and made me feel fresh and alive again.
Well, and another one that kind of stood out as my least favorite was Fireworks, because Fireworks,
Mm.
I don't know, the title to me, I don't know, what does a firework do? It explodes, but this song, it's pretty calm, a bit, I don't know, it didn't really give me a lot.
Maybe
I
that was
think,
maybe that wasn't intentional.
yeah, I mean, so the fireworks of Hanabi,
Yeah.
that song, yeah, I think when you think of fireworks, you can either be thinking of big dramatic explosion, or you can be thinking of the beautiful scene as the fireworks explode.
Yeah,
That could go one or two
she
ways.
Ryan Johnson, the Benedict.
They subverted your expectations. Oh no.
Subverted your expectations.
Um, that's interesting. So you would put Ashura-chan down as like a real highlight, and fireworks maybe down as a bit of a lackluster one.
Yeah.
Neon, anything you want to add to either of those, or any songs you want to highlight?
Yeah, so like the song for me that I like to highlight is probably like a really unpopular opinion, because it's definitely for me
Go
the
for it.
one song which is like the oddity in the whole entire album. Lucky Bruto.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but for me, the reason why I like this is one, it's so creepy, and those half-step tempo changes. I think for a lot of people who are going to listen to this song, it's going to sound a little bit too chaotic and a little bit out there, and they're not going to appreciate it. But as a musician, and I'm sure probably
Yeah.
Howard as well, as a musician, all three of us, when you listen to that and you hear the tempo change, you hear those half steps and those quick crescendos as well that build up and then die down. I can't help but listen to this and go, I really like this. Just like everything that's going on in the background. It's so weird. But I also really like this dark, really dark undertone to this
Yeah, but
song
it's
as
a
well.
weird mixture. Like this
It is,
song
but
really
that's
feels very
what
weird
appeals
to me.
But I
Yeah,
understand. But
totally.
I understand that listening to this as like a casual listen to it, it might be a hard sell, just because of how chaotic and weird it is. Because it tries so many different things. But like me, when I listen to it, I'm just like, I like the fact that this is so weird and so janky a little bit, intentionally as well. But what I really like about this is it sets up for me my favorite portion of this album, because you've got a Lucky Bruto, then you've got Giri Gira, which is like just amazing as well, by the way, after that. Then, as Benedict just pointed out,
Yeah.
Ashura-chan, then you've got Koroko, and then followed by Uzwata. So,
Usiwa.
yeah, I know. Blah, 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 blah.
It's like you say,
Get to
it's
the
like
chopper!
you were thinking, if I say it really
Verata.
quick, if I say it really quick, no one will ask it.
Yeah, nobody will.
Usiwa.
Usawa, there we go. And then that just section.
It's like right in the fucking song, like
Yeah.
15,000 times.
I know. Yeah, but this is how bad I am at Japanese. Even though I'm trying to learn it, I am fucking awful. This is gonna be me now. Whenever somebody talks to me in Japan, I'm just gonna go, yeah, just bear with me. I'm just gonna get my personal translator here.
I'm just gonna say some really offensive shit, and I was like, oh, he's not with me. It's
And then it goes into, like I said, that back half with the really kind of like chilled out section of the album. But that Lucky Burrito for me is like the signal of it's about to go crazy. And I like that. I like it. So if I was going to say like my favorite song in general, I probably would go with Gira Gira. Just I don't know what it is. I've had that song stuck in my head now so much, and I really
Yeah,
like
a lot
it.
of these songs are so catchy.
What would you say like your takeaway from Gira Gira is? Because obviously you've mentioned that as a highlight, so I'm kind of intrigued. What is it specifically about that song?
It's catchy. For me, it's the bass line and that song is so good. But it's just one of those, it's catchy. And to be honest with you, I wanted to pick Giri Giri as well because, like I said, everybody knows
Gira Gira.
Gira Gira. Fuck off, man.
Learn to speak.
Learn to speak.
Japanese.
Yeah. I can't even speak English, let alone fucking Japanese. Okay,
Oh my God.
God knows how I got this far. This is why I have 22,000 subscribers, because they all just feel fucking sorry for me at this point. They're like, oh, bless him, let's subscribe.
You don't have 22,000 subscribers. You've got 22,000 carers.
Carers, exactly. So yeah, and I wanted to pick Giri Giri just because, like I said, Usawa is probably the highlight for many people, and I just wanted to pick something a little bit different, and I think that's another good, like really big song that I quite enjoy. Odo as well is probably another big one that people would go for. So maybe that's the the rebellious streak in me where I'm like, nah, fuck you all, give me.
Kira, Kira.
Kira, Kira.
Oh God.
Okay,
Oh
so
man.
Howard, let us know about your
Okay,
standout
so
songs.
I'm just going to run through a couple that I had notes on, and then we can maybe circle around and talk about anyone who I thought was particularly interesting. So a lot of this, I was thinking about it as an album as well. First of all, I'd say I thought Ready Made actually was a really nice introduction. As a first song, it's nice. It's got a little bit of a hop to it.
Mm,
I like, even though it's got like a swing sort of sound to it, which again, I like. There's a lot of swing style songs on this album, that's kind of almost at the baseline mode that this album's in. Ready Made sets it up nice. It
yeah.
has got very digital sounding brass in the background and like all the saxophone woodwind sounds. It's very digital, but it kind of works. It's got a cheeky vibe. So I thought that was a good setup for the album. Good like opener at least. I can't deny Odo is always one of my favorite songs by Ado. And you know, especially considering every time I hear it, it reminds me how awfully McDonald's fucked it up. So yeah, so I think Odo is absolutely, it's a brilliant song. I know it's as correctly Neon points out, it's a little bit of a stereotype to go for it, but I adore that song, and I think it adds a really nice change of tempo, even that early on. It really hits hard. I
I
must
gotta
admit
say,
now,
when I first heard of Ado and I knew like she's a popular pop singer, I was never expecting stuff like Odo, because that's
yeah.
more like, I don't know, trap hip hop kind
It's
of.
got a little bit of that vibe underneath it. And it's like, I mean, for example, Teddy Lloyd's on the writing and producing side of it. So, you know, you've got a little bit of that kind of vibe going on
Yeah,
there. But it works. I mean, whatever they're
I would
doing
even say a
works.
pretty strong vibe. Some of the
Well,
parts are just basically pretty much trap music.
Yeah.
yeah, and
It kind of
it's
reminds me a
amazingly
little.
convincing.
It kind of reminds me a little bit like touch on what Benedikt just said. Then again, kind of going back to Lisa, like there's a lot of pop artists that you think,
Hmm.
oh, pop, and then you listen to them and
Yeah,
go, wait, what?
yeah,
But that's one of the strongest qualities of
Mm,
J-pop. In the same way that J-metal did so much for the world of metal by fusing genres together and not being restricted to just being metal. J-pop is so much more open to ideas than Western pop, which has become, well, as general, which has become very minimalist and lacking in ideas. Um, Next song I wanted to bring up. Now, this is important to point out. There were 7 singles on this 14-track album, so half of this album is singles. And yet, I got to be honest, track 4, Freedom, simple as it is, to me, is probably it's pushing to be the catchiest song on the album. It's really catchy,
mm.
and I was kind of surprised that that one didn't get at least a look in as a single. So I'm assuming that one must have come up very late in the writing process, but I think that's a definite for a single, so it must have come in quite late in the production process, I'd imagine. Um, Moving on from that one,
it's
I would
already
say
also got
different.
some a different vibe than most of the other songs. It's more of that, I don't know, more of a rock feel.
Mm.
It's a bit pop rock, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
it's it's quite straight shooting. I would say maybe that's the one thing that goes against it is it's not particularly out there in any way. It's a pretty straight shooting kind of song, but boy, does it bloody well work.
yeah,
Even
true.
pulls off the
I'm kind of not
Eurovision key change
surprised
at the
that
end.
you really like that one.
Hmm. I mean, it's probably one of the songs where, upon repeat listen, it might lose its charm a bit quicker because it doesn't have quite as many other things going for it. But it is a really fun song. I really do enjoy that one.
Yeah.
Next song of note. So the next couple I'm going to talk about are ones that you guys already mentioned. I think "Lucky Bruto" is that song. I absolutely love that song.
Oh, I
I
thought you were
love
going to
the
say you hated it. I was like, hold my breath. Like,
I already applauded when you said it earlier, man, because that song, the whole writing scheme of that, it's just so fulfilling. The guy who wrote it, now I always pronounce this wrong, Hiragi Kirai. I've come across his name a couple of times before. Hiragi Kirai, I think it is. Um, he does like sort of Vocaloid music anyway, and you know this again, Vocaloid. There's some amazing people working in the Vocaloid writing space because these are just writers who want to be freed of musicians and singers. Just like I am going to do whatever I
Yeah.
want on my computer, and it will come out the way I want it to. And I love that. I love that kind of bizarre, weird, introverted world that they work in. But they produce stuff like this that sounds genuinely very well written. So much love and effort's gone into it. And the funny thing is, when you listen to it, the song sounds pretty bare bones, but when you pick through it, there's so many satisfying things going. I mean, Neon pointed out those little half steps and stuff like that. Beautiful. It definitely feels different just in the way that it's structured from anything else on the
Yeah.
album, and yet at the same time fits in with the album. Love that song. I think all three of us love that, which is great to hear from a musician and from a songwriter standpoint. We all love that one. I've got to be honest, Gira Gira, I didn't have a huge amount of notes on that, so I'm going to jump straight over to Ashura-chan, which from the first time I heard Ashura-chan as a single, I think I actually heard that when it came out. I think that was one of the first songs I caught as it was released. Yeah, Ashura-chan, I agree with Benedikt here. Super fun. Even the video plays with that. The lyric
Yeah.
video, simple animation. It's just fun, fun, fun. It's very catchy. It's very quick, punchy,
But
in and
that's not
out, job
really
done.
Ado's usual style, I would say. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it has the adult flavor,
Yeah.
and yet it does something with it, which I think you could say this for a lot of the album. It does something with the adult flavor that is unexpected. But Ashura-chan, yeah, I agree. It's like you just listening to that with a grin on your face, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're having fun with this one, aren't you? Um, and then
I do.
the last track that I really had notes on, I've got to say, is actually Usiwa, but maybe not for the reason you'd expect, because I got to be, that was a single that never grabbed me when it came out. I know it was beloved, it just never grabbed me, never really worked for me. And yeah, time and time again, every time I've gone back to it, I've gone, not really sure about this. And yet when I heard it in the context of the album, it suddenly clicked. It really clicked with me much more. I listened to the album a couple of times through to really get my head, well, not the whole album, but I listened to the middle part of the album the second time through to really get my head around that. And yeah, Usiwa, in the context of the album, suddenly clicks because it feels very fresh compared to everything before. When it comes in with that synth bit at the beginning, it's like it's a little bit cheeky, it's a little bit chaotic. The chorus is very different from anything else. It has got a little bit of a, it's suddenly a bit more up tempo than the songs before it. It just kind of works really well in that place in the album.
I would say it's probably, to me, the most catchy song. Or like that use, well,
Yeah,
that just that line, it's immediately stuck in my head.
yeah, it was the song for
I
me that really grabbed me for a couple of reasons. One, like Benedict said, absolutely catchy as hell, like stuck in your head. But
Neon, as it's catchy, would you like to just quickly sing the chorus one time through for us?
Usa, 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 wa.
See, you can say it.
Na, 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 na.
Yeah, I don't know how that works. Try to say the name normally, fuck it up, sing the song, I'm fucking fine.
That's the best you've got it so far. I mean, even I'm not getting it right, and I'm like, well, that's better.
But yeah, that was the one song that I heard that like really grabbed me for a couple of reasons. One, catchy. Two, the song that like that. But what really sold it to me was like Ado's like chaotic nature. Now I know a lot of people have various different opinions on this. A lot of them like her more sort of condensed, more like I want to say poppy, funky kind of side to her. I really like the more chaotic sort of crazy madness that she does. When she gives that kind of like crazy girl vibe that you know is bad for you, but you just can't fucking say no anyway. Like that kind of vibe that she has
We're
in the
learning way
songs.
too much about
Yeah,
today.
yeah, yeah. It's like when you look into a dark room, you see a crazy girl, and she's holding a knife, and she's looking at you, but you're like, "Oh, fuck it." You know, you
Neon is
know
going
the
in there.
yeah, you know the danger, but it's worth it. Uh,
Leon, can you tell me about your mother? What was your relationship with your parents?
yeah, Jesus Christ. So coming into this one, that's what really kind of like drew me to her was that chaotic, catchy nature, and I love the way that she throws her voice in this song. Like it has that screechy, again, kind of crazy vibe to it, and I never really experienced that from another artist really before her, which is kind of crazy because there's loads of artists that do it now,
Mhm,
all
mhm.
because of
Yeah, yeah.
but when I heard that for the first time, I was like, I've not really heard anything like this before, this chaoticness, um, in such a
So
controlled
the
way as well.
rawness.
Yeah, it was like rawness, but it was like controlled chaos at the
Yeah.
same time. And I was like, I've not heard anything like this before. And that was like, I was like instantly hooked.
You know what is the most surprising to me? I think it's pretty much, yeah, in most of the songs, and some more than others, but kind of the thing you just said. But it's just that she has so many different vocal styles, and she's like effortlessly switching through them all the time, like from, I don't know, some more chest voice to head voice to some nasal style to some scream like. There's
Yeah.
so many different styles, and she's just switching through them. That's really, I don't know what to me makes Ado stand on top of a lot of these other uh, VTube artists or however.
Yeah, I got to agree with that as well. That's a really good point. I never actually would have thought of that. But yeah, you're right. She goes through these different styles, different techniques.
Yeah.
And sometimes you listen to it and you kind of maybe don't appreciate it too much because you know it's Ado. And you know it's just
But
her normal
it's
thing,
really a
but
lot. It's like
it's
kind
a
of sometimes
lot.
when I was focusing, it's like not even one sentence. She's like singing in a constant voice. Even there, she's like switching around some voice and some other stuff. I mean, usually singers do that in some type of capacity, but she's really excelling at that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and she does it her own way as well. And I think that's what
Yeah.
really sells this album and just her as an artist is she doesn't try to beat anybody else. She's just her. She does it her way, her unique way. And I really like that. I think for anybody that discovered Ado, like you must feel like the scout that discovered like, you know, Messi. Just you must know you just look at it and hear it for the first time and you're like, yeah, this is special. Apart from if you Howard, obviously he didn't like it the first time. But
Not
Oh,
sure if
look,
he
let's see
connects
what. Well,
Messi with
yeah.
the
who's.
soccer player.
Oh, okay. I wonder what you're fucking
Did
talking
you say
about.
soccer player? Get out of here, you yank! Fucking you're from
I don't know.
Germany
He's
and you
talking
said
about. I thought he,
soccer.
I was like
Sorry.
thinking. I was
Push
like,
barn.
I was like, who discovered a mess? I was like, did someone like take a crap on your floor or something? He's like, what? You
Yeah,
discovered
yeah,
a
that's
mess?
I wanted to
And you
clarify
say
to
I'm the
Howard.
kinky one. The fuck are you into?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Discovering a mess. I'm like, what mess has
No,
been anyway?
Messi,
Messi.
the player, the football player.
There we go. Can't believe you said soccer. Oh, I feel so dirty.
No, do you know
Let's
what?
I
keep
Do
need
you
it
to
know
wash
what?
honest.
after
Do you
that.
know what?
Tomato, tomato, soccer, football.
Benedikt. Let's team up against him. Let's just call it soccer, just to annoy him. Let's call
Oh
it
no,
soccer.
please,
All right,
please,
let's
please
team up him
no.
against
Just,
you
oh
and
no,
I
I'm
Benedikt.
not
can't
gonna
leave
say
this
what I wanted
call
to
either.
say.
I'm the one recording. That's so unfair.
Let's
Just
just
leave
not
the
talk
room.
about
Oh,
that
that's
sport
not a
at
bad
all.
point. Yeah,
I
I
mean,
love it. So yeah, go on.
so if I'm honest, like I think there's this interesting duality with the whole adult thing because there's no doubt that what she did vocally was really impressive, which is one of the reasons why she could become so famous without showing her face because it was all about the voice
Yeah.
and the vocal style, the expressiveness. It felt unique, it felt fresh. She was covering so much ground. And yeah, I think that that is one of the things that's really great. And I think listening to this whole album as well, it's amazing how it doesn't get tiresome. It feels fresh throughout the album, and she covers so much ground. Um, and
Maybe
yeah,
it's not even a bad thing that it's so diverse, because otherwise it might
no, it's a
get
good thing.
exactly that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the reason I was saying that is because the problem is that after this first album, so I listened to this album, I enjoyed it, like 2022, like the year of Ado, it was great. And I've got to be honest, there was some stuff that I heard last year, 2024, you know, a couple of hours later, a couple of years later, where
Couple of
I
hours,
can't
time
remember,
traveler.
there was one song, maybe, there was one song in particular which I remember hearing where I was just like, it felt like she was like pushing and doing like the over the top singing in a song that didn't suit it. And I felt there was a certain degree in some of the stuff I heard in 2024 where I felt like it's almost like she was famous for doing the big dramatic vocals. And so she was just kind of doing it in songs where it didn't work. And so I feel like this album was so good, almost that there was a pressure for her to keep on singing in that way, which is why, as I mentioned, the most recent single at the time of recording, Elf, I really loved that song because for me, it felt like going back to a lot of what I originally liked about her, which is that it was a much more paced song where her voice, it felt like it was using her voice correctly rather than whatever it was. There was a couple where I just heard where I was just like, I don't know, it just wasn't
Mhm.
working for me. Um, it felt like dramatic, but without the song wasn't backing up the drama of her voice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I feel like maybe there was a period of that after the first album, and that now she's kind of like the new album, Zanmu, which came out in 2024. Maybe there's various tracks on that. I need to listen through that entire album to get a feeling for whether that's the album's just less consistent to my ear. But she has an amazing voice, but it's one of those voices you have to use it right. You have to give her
Mhm.
something to do with it. You can't just sort of like throw her onto some generic song and get her to like try and make the most of it because your voice like that, you've got to have music to back it up. And this first album, it delivers the music to back it up. You know, even the songs that aren't quite as noteworthy, there's none of them where it just feels like she's kind of lost at sea, trying to make something of a song that
So
doesn't have
can I
anything for it to
ask you,
do.
I'm not sure if you know, but does she still go the route with like every song has a different writer, or did she at some point get a writer team or something?
So basically, on the next thing she released after this album was the One Piece album, which was there's only a few tracks
Yeah.
on it, it was like a mini album. Then she did a cover album, and then this one that came out in 2024 is her second album, second proper album. And looking through here, just looking through the list now, again, I can't see any two tracks that are written by the same writer there, but there's a lot of very famous people on here. You know, you got Tak Matsumoto's on there, Sheena Ringo's on there, you've got TK obviously is on there, Vaundy's on there. You know, there are some big names on here. And actually, do you know what? I just found the song that I didn't like. And it ironically is by the exact same team who gave us Odder. It's
Wow.
it's by Giga, Teddy Lloyd, and it's a song called Show. That one, I really didn't like that song. I just felt it felt totally like it was misused her voice. It just felt like weird, wrong. I didn't like that. And ironically, I just found out that's by the exact same people who did Oddo, which is one of my
Is it
favorite
also like
songs by
more
her.
of a hip hop type?
Yeah, but whereas like Otto's got a little bit of a sort of a darkness to it and a little bit of a funk to it. Show just, I mean, in my opinion, it's a very popular song, so a lot of people are going to go against me on this, I'm sure. But Show for me feels like let's do a party song, but she's singing really dramatically, and it just fucking does not make sense. It sounds totally wrong. So yeah, I really don't like that song. Sorry, that one never worked for me. But yeah, it's also got some really great songs on here. So maybe we should cover this album next at some point because there is a
I haven't actually listened to
big
it. I have to
variation.
listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
I
lot of
haven't. You know
variation
what?
on
I
there.
haven't actually listened to the album in its entirety either.
Yeah.
At that point, I was so engrossed doing reactions when she dropped her stuff on YouTube that I probably heard most of it, but just never actually sat down to listen to it all the way through. So
Actually,
that'd be new for us up in all three of us.
can we just give a little shout out at this point, by the way, for the fact that this is a rarely accepted or acknowledged fact that I think Neon was one of the very first people to react to Adele's music when it came out. Like Neon was like right there, like one of the he was like reacting to her music before she was really there. And like
Yeah,
Neon did
yeah.
a couple of videos, and then a couple of months later,
She blew
Ado
up.
was everywhere. So
She
I
blew up.
actually
Yeah.
think that Neon is responsible
Yeah.
for Ado's fame. I think so. You know, if you
You
like
are her
Ado,
scout. That's
yeah,
why he content
you,
he told this story.
you have to thank A&R man Neon here, who it's all him.
The downside to that is I missed the initial wave of Ado though, because I'd done it like months before she got big. When she got big, she blew up everywhere, and like everybody else got all the freaking views and subscribers. And I was like,
Everyone
fuck.
forgot. Poor you with your 22,000 subscribers. Fuck yeah. What a dick.
I know. But yeah, that was one of the highlights. I do like the fact that we found that one as well with Ado quite early on. And the fact that she stuck out as well so early. Like I said, it's really hard to do that as an artist and to be so prominent. I think the other thing as well is like you could maybe say that her voice may be gimmicky. Maybe a little bit. I don't know who would say that. You're fucking crazy if you're not. But
You're the one who brought it up.
I am. You are. Well, I'm just saying, just to counter my own argument here and this whole thing.
What is the gimmick about her vocal?
Well, the thing with the
Where I
vocal,
would
the
say
vocal
if there's a
vocals-
gimmick, then it's her not showing her face.
Yeah, well, that's the gimmick as well. But the gimmick of her vocals being, like I said, crazy and being a little bit out there and going.
You mean that if like any vocalist who's overly stylistic,
over
there'll always be
stylistic?
some who don't like that.
Yeah, it can be
over expressive, maybe.
Yeah, but it can also over time sort of people get excited about something new that they hear, and then sort of like over time it kind of wears out, and you know, people are like it's good, but like they move on to other things. But that's like the complete opposite in the way of Ado's case. Like she's only getting bigger and bigger and bigger and stuff like that now. I mean, even look at like one of the latest songs that she did with Imagine Dragons as a collaboration, Take Me to the Beach.
Didn't even know about that.
Did you? Oh my Jesus Christ!
That was another one of the ones where
Imagine Dragons.
I'm not a big fan of Imagination.
Of Imagine Dragons.
Imagine Dragons.
It's gonna
But,
Freddy Krueger your dreams.
all right. The point is, her popularity is that big now for a relatively short career that she's, being able to collab with all these different artists, like Imagine Dragons, like them or hate them, I don't give a fuck. But she's there doing all these things now, getting into mainstream popularity.
Imagine Dragons were really good the first time they released that song. They've been re-releasing 50 times for the last 10 years.
To be fair, Imagine Dragons have been doing some great stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure they did like some of the stuff for Arcane, League of Legends as well.
They are one of the biggest examples of how recycling can work. They recycle very well and good.
I'm with Howard on this one. Like every time I hear that, it's like, have I heard that song before? I don't think so, but it sounds exactly the same.
I'm pretty sure I heard this song before. And it's kind of like, when I heard this song they did with Ado, I was like, well, that's just making Ado sing another Imagine Dragons.
Another Imagine Dragons song. It's like I think you're both right as well. And you know what? The worst thing is I still like Imagine Dragons. So.
Yeah. If it works, it works. They're just doing a lot of the thing that you already like.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I'm still eating the same. I'm still eating the same breakfast cereal I ate when I was 8 years old. So I'm a man who sticks to the plan, sticks to things.
That's some fucking brand loyalty you've got going on now. Yeah, no, I mean, like I'm playing her actually. I've got nothing against Imagine Dragons sounds. It's just like it's like they haven't brought anything new since that one song they did. Like there was like, oh, that was good, and then it's been the same song ever since. But credit to Ado, she tried.
I just wanted to say I'm actually really curious to hear now the second Ado album because, yeah, just to see, could they still switch it up? Can they still bring something fresh? Does it work for me better than for Howard?
Well, I think
that one song at least.
If people get in the comments if they want us to, I mean, it sounds like we're all interested to sit down and listen to the album anyway. I can definitely say the album seems to have. The second album would appear to have some higher and lower points maybe than the first. Maybe it's just going to be more eclectic. So who knows? But we'll check it out in the comments. If you guys get in the comments and say you want us to, then we will.
Yeah, go check out Benedikt's channel
if this
as well.
Video gets 10,000 views, we will do another one.
10,000 views. Well,
guess we're never hearing that album then.
Yeah. I want some free time.
It's just like freeing up a weekend. It's really just, I don't want the fucking time to myself. Yeah.
I love it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, let us know if you want us to do more Ado stuff in the comments. Like I said, we really appreciate these ones. We know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but we enjoy going back and doing a retrospective and having different opinions. And
a cup of tea and get yourself a coffee.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah.
Jesus Christ. How big is that? Look how much caffeine he needs.
This is my second one, bro. This is my second one.
Fucking hell.
First one has been emptied.
But yeah. Anyway, let us know in the comments what you think of the initial album
already.
Let us know when you discovered Ado. Was it through the album? Was it through YouTube? What were your initial thoughts? What stuck
What
out?
are your favorite songs
Neon?
From the album?
Did you discover her through Neon?
A lot of people.
Manager.
Yeah, a lot of people probably did actually. So, but again, I missed out on the hype when she went big. Like fucking months later, everybody was pissed me off.
Sorry. I missed out, but I never hold a grudge.
Yeah.
He's burning inside.
Yeah, I just wait until people forget I'm holding a grudge, and then I strike.
Jesus Christ! All right. Anyway,
it's a waiting game.
Slightly terrifying. No.
I will play the Ado reverse card.
He's still showing off his merch. We get it. You bought the album. Remember to keep your ears.
What will I do with this card if I will not show it here? I will just throw it away.
Fuck is that?